Hey, Sam here. Welcome back to another video. The iOS 14 rumors are starting to slowly churn out. They've been a little bit slow. Somebody's been a bit stopped up, a bit constipated, but that's not going to be the case anymore. Today, though, we got some new information about what devices iOS 14 is said to support, and honestly, it's pretty surprising. There are a number of devices on here that I did not think would make the cut this year that are still said to be supported. And on top of that, I want to cover some other rumors we've been hearing for iOS 14 as well. So drop a like, per usual, if you guys are excited. Hit subscribe for more. Let's just go ahead and get started. So there are a fair amount of conspiracy theorists out there that believe that Apple removes support for older devices in an effort to get you to upgrade to the newer devices, or at least slows down firmwares on something like the iPhone 6s so you'd upgrade to something like the iPhone 10. That's been out there forever, and it turns out a few years ago Apple actually was doing that. They were throttling older devices that had degraded batteries, and while they claim it was to preserve the longevity of your phone, I mean, it definitely appeared that they were doing that to make you upgrade, because normal people, if their phone is slow, isn't going to say, wow, it's probably the battery, gee golly. So that story was huge. It broke a number of years ago, but since then, I really feel like Apple's done an excellent job at not only making iOS releases faster every year, but extending support every year for the largest pool of devices, even devices that people would say, I'm okay if I don't get the update, like it's a pretty old phone. Today, we got a new list of devices that are said to be supported for iOS 14, and it's pretty surprising all the devices on here. I've actually got the list right here. So iPhone 11 Pro, iPhone 11, well, big shocker there, the newest device is still iPhone 10s, iPhone 10R, iPhone 10, iPhone 8, iPhone 7. Can you take a guess at what the last two devices are? The iPhone SE and the iPhone 6s are still getting support. Now, I think there's a very good chance that this part of the list is wrong, because Apple was supposed to remove support for the 6s and the SE last year, and they didn't. They extended iOS 13 to those devices. And for them to do that yet again, while these devices are, barely hanging on for dear life, I think that would be admirable. I think that'd be pretty cool, but I'm not sure if that's super likely. The source that iPhone Soft cites is a Maps application Apple employee that, focuses on the Maps app. So I don't exactly know how much pull they've got as far as what devices are supported, but this is broadly good news if you have an older device. For iPads, it actually gets a bit more confusing. Basically, every iPad Pro made so far, that is still going to get iOS 14. The 7th generation iPad, 6th generation iPad, 5th generation iPad, the 5th generation iPad mini. So unfortunately, if you have an iPad mini 4, it's not going to be supported this time. And the 3rd generation iPad Air, that one is going to be supported too. Now, this seems like broadly good news, right? If Apple is supporting older devices, that's not going to force you to upgrade. However, it does make me a bit concerned based on some auxiliary evidence that we have already gotten from Bloomberg. We know iOS 13 was a big year because we got the swipe keyboard, we got dark mode, we got the dynamically changing wallpapers, like things that we had been asking for eternity. Shaping alongside those features, though, were a ton of bugs. iOS 13 got so many updates right off the bat, and now it's in a pretty stable position, but for a while it was sort of up in the air and constantly in flux, and I still sometimes have Bluetooth issues. Like somehow that got messed up along the way. So Apple held an internal meeting a while back that Bloomberg reported on where they talked about how they don't want this to be the case again. And we've seen this pattern a lot. Big update followed the next year by a smaller update to focus on everything Apple did wrong. Then another big update, then another smaller update. And it appears that because we got so many of those big features fulfilled in iOS 13, that iOS 14 is going to sing a much slighter tune. That report said that Apple was going to focus on things being more stable and reliable and hopefully getting a bit quicker as well. So if you have an older device, I think that means that iOS 14 will run on your device fantastically. It also means that if you have a newer iPhone, or any iPhone that will get iOS 14, the breadth and variety of features is probably going to be a bit more slim, which is disappointing. But I don't want to leave you hanging there, because that's not my job here. And I actually have some really great news for the feature set that could be coming to iOS 14. A few months ago, I saw this and just completely forgot to report on it because, quite honestly, it escaped my mind. But a user wrote into Apple about how annoying it was whenever they got a phone call and it took up their entire display. You've been there before, right? You're typing up an email or a text or just browsing the web or playing a game, and you get interrupted by this full screen pop-up. And it's super frustrating because then you don't want to hang up, because then the person knows that you don't want to talk to them. So you just have to sit there for like 25 seconds until it goes away on its own. When the user sent this in, it turns out that Apple's Craig Federighi, the vice president of software engineering who is constantly involved with macOS and iOS updates, responded and said, while we can't actually fit it on the docket for iOS 13 because there's not enough time, we can maybe keep it on the docket for the future. Now, this is incredibly rare. Not only a response from Apple, but talking about something unconfirmed confirmed and how they would keep it in mind, which I'm not saying is confirmation that this is coming, but as Apple answered so many long-standing qualms with iOS 13, this is one of the last remaining out there, and for it already to be on Apple's top of mind, I think there's a really good shot we get this time. There's a number of concepts for how this could look, and for a banner to look just like this, simple, swipe it away, you don't have to stare and look at it, it would be awesome, right? Because then you could do whatever you wanted to do and not be rudely interrupted by a human trying to have a conversation with you. This is just absurd. I'm joking. I kind of enjoy phone calls more. I feel like sending texts and emails is just, I don't know, it's a lot. It takes a long time. I'd actually rather have somebody call me and then we can just talk and then hang out. But it is annoying when it happens when there's somebody that I don't want to talk to. Some other iOS 14 features that we're hearing about is enhanced AR, or augmented reality functionality. Apple has double, triple, quadrupled down on this. Tim Cook's still saying this is going to be the next big thing. And it very well could be, but the applications are still quite limited. So enhanced AR functionality for AR apps, that should be coming this year. A new multitasking like app close animation was rumored, I think for iOS 13, that never actually came to fruition. So possibly that makes the jump on iOS 14, or it's left behind because Apple just changed their mind. And just for the newest 2020 iPhone 12 and 12 Pro models, 5G support. iOS 14 is obviously going to have to support that because this will be the firmware that ships on the newest iPhones, so it'd be a pretty big portion of the software missing if that was just left out. And that essentially is what we've been hearing for iOS 14 so far. Now, I believe although Bloomberg released this report that said Apple would be focusing on, the big refinements and making sure things were more stable, they seem to indicate that there would not be a hit on the number of features we were seeing. It's just that so far we haven't seen a lot. But to be fair, we are about 5 months away from when iOS 14 is going to be unveiled, and things don't usually start to heat up until a couple of months from now. So that's all I've got for you in today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like down below. It does seriously help me out, and hit subscribe to warm my heart and maybe warm yours as well. That's all I've got for you right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see all of you in the next one.